What's up guys, welcome to Voicey here. This is your 20-year-old host, Captain Sack, and today's subreddit is r/IDontWorkHereLady, as well as a cool little story from r/Today I Fudged Up. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that bell to never miss an episode. This story's called, I'm Not an Interpreter. Literally happened earlier this morning. My roommate gets home and gets himself a shower after work. He's trying to unwind and having a conversation with me in American Sign Language. I notice he starts acting a bit off. Being epileptic myself, I start to suspect, but not sure. I ask if he's feeling alright, and he says he feels weird and suddenly full-blown seizure. This roommate does not have a history of seizures, so I immediately get my boyfriend to call 911 and ask for paramedics. Meanwhile, I'm putting on my hearing aids and getting my shoes on, as by this time I've already moved things that could hurt him away from him prior. The paramedics come. I grab the roommate's keys and drive his car to the hospital. I get there and check in as a guest, with a guest sticker to slap beautifully across my chest. I get let in and told where his room is, blah blah. If you've ever visited someone in a hospital, you know the general gist of getting to the person's room. So I'm sitting there, wearing my hearing aids, so now I could potentially have a conversation without the need for signing. But I'm signing anyway. I'm just more comfortable that way. He, in turn, signs what he can. The nurse comes in and checks on him and makes sure he's got everything he needs for the time being, making sure he's comfortable, etc. She informs him someone will be coming by from radiology. Soon enough, someone from radiology shows up with a wheelchair, helps him into the chair and carts him away. Him signing, I'll be back, all Terminator-like. So I'm sitting there in his room, just waiting when the nurse returns to the roommateless room. Something patient something interpreter. No thanks, a roommate doesn't need an interpreter. Wrong answer. That's apparently not what she asked. She looked more frustrated in her face, her eyebrows furrowed. Me now trying my hardest to lip read someone I can barely make anything out from. Something, another patient, something, sign language interpreter, something, can't something, one patient all the time, something. I'm not an ASL interpreter, and I don't work for the hospital. I'm here for roommate. Something needs interpreter now, something going. I'm not exactly sure what you're trying to say. I'm deaf. I'm not an interpreter. Nurse is now getting furious, but storms off, and I'm thinking I've heard the end of it. My roommate is returned after what felt like an eternity, and we're chatting back and forth, again with sign. Apparently, the nurse had made a complaint about me as suddenly and without warning, the charge nurse is in the room, and my roommate is signing everything the charge nurse is complaining at me about. You need to get off your duff and help other patients that need a sign language interpreter. You can't be sitting here dedicating yourself to one single patient. You will be called back to this patient if he needs something important spoken to him. My roommate, calm signing, which is speaking while signing, he's not an interpreter. He's my deaf roommate. I'm interpreting what you're saying to him and trying to enjoy my conversation with him. The charge nurse goes white as a ghost, but the word deaf seems to have fallen on deaf ears. Well, can he at least help with translation so other hearing impaired patients can be treated? Again, roommate is signing everything to me. I chime in vocally. Ma'am, I'm deaf. I can't hear you. I can't make out what you're saying unless someone translates it for me. So, how would it be possible for me to translate what's being said to other deaf people currently in the hospital? I don't work here, you don't pay me, and I can't hear worth a darn to do what you're requesting. Well, you could still help out. Don't you sign interpreters have some sort of oath you have to follow? My roommate tells this woman, the mere fact that you are confusing a deaf person for a sign language interpreter and demanding a deaf person interpret language you can't hear is honestly quite freaking frightening in a hospital environment. Do you realize how terrifying that kind of crap is? Doesn't surprise me. This is the same hospital that had a nurse ask if I wanted my discharge papers in Braille. That was this hospital? By this point, the charge nurse seems to have gotten the picture and profusely apologizes to my girlfriend. Not to me though. Bench. And scampers away not to be seen again. The doctor eventually comes in and goes over the details with roommate that nothing appeared amiss in his brain scan and everything looked alright, but told him to stop taking a medication he was on. I didn't catch the name of the med. Apparently this medicine can rarely cause seizures, and today was the second day of having taken said medicine, so it made sense. Just basically, Drink plenty of fluids, don't go to work the next few days so the meds clear out of your system, and get plenty of rest and make sure you're in a safe area in case of a random seizure until you're clear. I crap you not. The doctor looks directly at me and tells me I can go to another patient now. I freaking hate this hospital. If I had the spare finances to blow, I'd definitely get those various t-shirts off Amazon that read, "I'm deaf," and varying degrees of that so that I can avoid crap like this again in the future. Unfreaking believable. To make matters more infuriating, this is the same doctor at the same hospital that told me deaf people can't speak. Don't get sick in small towns. You never know how idiotic hospital staff are. I drove my roommate home in his car. He protested because, "You're epileptic. You could have a seizure at any time." And I said, "Right now, so are you, but I'm medicated for it." Okay, that's actually really concerning. Hospital staff should probably know the difference between deaf and blind and know what deaf means or better yet, how to recognize what visitor means when you have a freaking giant visitor sticker on your chest. Anyways, good on this dude for taking care of his roommate and, hospital, you suck. I hope you die. I'm kidding. Seriously, train your staff better. Or maybe get better educated staff. Whichever it is, you should probably get that done. This story's called, "He Was Wearing Headphones." Sir, he has autism. Last night, Oscar and I were talking about the incident I had with a Karen at the local store last year and how his former coworker, Lila, saved me before the situation got worse. He had his own story to share and has granted me permission to post it here. Cast: Oscar, Joseph, Penny, George. Back before he joined the company we both work for now, Oscar was doing his rounds around the department store he worked at, talking to customers and employees and making sure everything was running smoothly. It was a slower than usual Monday, so Oscar was able to enjoy his stroll. He came upon a teenaged guest reorganizing the stuffed animals and making everything look neat, under the supervision of his mom. Oscar noticed the guest was wearing noise-canceling headphones. "Thank you so much for making everything look neat. You've got an eye for detail." Penny, a bit embarrassed. He likes to organize and clean up as it keeps him calm when he gets overstimulated. "I can get him to stop if it's being a problem." Oscar nods. "My son does the same thing, and as long as it helps him, then you're more than welcome to." He says to Joseph, "You're doing a great job." He left. Oscar decided to get some paperwork done when they heard a loud clattering and a cry. Oscar ran back to see this huge man who looked like he had eaten one Thanksgiving dinner too many and his button-up shirt was about ready to burst open, standing over Joseph. Joseph had his hands over his ears, now sans headphones, and looking like a proverbial deer in headlights. The guest was pointing at him. "Now that you aren't listening to your music, are you gonna help me?" Penny walked up to him. "Sir, my son is not an employee and has autism." George looks at Penny with narrowed eyes. "Don't lie, he was wearing headphones." Realizing the situation needed to be de-escalated, Oscar walked up, customer service smile on his face, although he was seething inside. "May I help you, sir?" George notices Oscar. "Thank God you're here. You really need to tell your employees here," points at Joseph and Penny, "to not wear headphones on the job and to stop covering for each other. I can't believe that you hire raccoons." Insert 7-letter insult that begins with an R, ends with an S, and is considered the best way to get your booty kicked at least 6 ways to Sunday in all 50 states. Now, the important thing to know about Oscar is this. While he's the kind of man who will give you the last dollar in his pocket if you needed it, he really doesn't take kindly to someone being treated badly, especially if it's a person with disabilities, as his younger son has autism. Oscar looks the customer down with a dad glare. "Sir, I'm gonna have to ask you to watch your language and your actions. I can verify that these are a pair of guests and that he was rearranging the shelves because he wanted to. And even if they did work here, that doesn't give you the right to harass them." Just then, a security guard walked over, apparently attracted by the commotion. George went from tomato red to bedsheet white. Oscar turned back to Penny. "If you want to press charges, we can help you with that." "No, I think it's best if we just left." "Okay, if you think that's best." George, now realizing that this would be the best time to leave, walked away. Oscar picked up the headphones and returned it to Joseph. Penny hugged Joseph. "Thank you, sir." You're welcome. I apologize that you had to endure that. Is there anything I can do to make this situation better? No, but we greatly appreciate it. I'll let the staff know to watch out for that man, and if there's any problems, don't hesitate to contact us. George never stepped foot into that store again. From then on, Joseph and Penny would come into the department store to say hello and organize the shelves every Monday, with Oscar occasionally bringing out some extra toys for Joseph to put away if he wanted. What a good guy Oscar is. Let me throw a deep cut in here. Oscar the Shark Slayer, more like Oscar the Jerk Slayer. Let me know if you get that reference. That was stupid. This story's called The Saga of the LAKEY. Another post reminded me of this one. It happened about 9 years ago. I'm on mobile, blah 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 blah. I'm gonna preface this by saying I don't know for sure if the woman thought I worked there or just randomly chose me, but I still think it fits. I used to live in a large metropolitan city. I was with a friend of mine shopping for a few things for her upcoming wedding, clothes for her honeymoon, bustier, etc. Anyway, we were in the women's clothing department of a large department store and poking away at the summer dresses. An older woman came in, maybe late 50s, early 60s, crazy, and was looking at racks close to us. My friend Alex and I were a few racks apart, and I was closer to the crazy. She was furiously flipping through the dresses and muttering gibberish to herself. Something about her son and married and it wasn't fair or something, and I don't know what else. I'm trying to catch Alex's attention, but she was looking away from me. Crazy pulled a few items and disappeared into the dressing rooms. I told Alex what was up and to maybe avoid that woman as she was clearly upset and getting more and more agitated. In mid-sentence, out she comes. She's wearing a sundress and needed help getting it zipped. She storms up to me, turns around and presents her back, muttering, "Zip it! I can't believe I have to do this! Just zip it! Zip it! Zip it!" Meanwhile, I'm fumbling with a zipper as the tab disappeared for a second, and she was making me very nervous. She's getting louder. "Zip it! Can't you just zip it? Zip it!" I get the tab out, but for the life of me cannot get the dress to close. She was a heavier woman, and the edges of the dress were about an inch apart. I kept telling her I couldn't get it to go, but I was trying. She's bouncing around, freaking out, and by this point, I should have walked away. Granted, I should have refused full stop, but my years of customer service kicked in, I guess. What I needed was another set of hands. I look at Alex and started to ask her for help, anything to get this crazy bench away from us. Before I could even start to ask, she storms over to her and presents her back. Poor Alex isn't as comfortable around people as I am, but bless her, she tried. I walk over to try and help, and the two of us just couldn't get it. It was hopeless. We dropped our hands, and I tried to explain that she might need another size over her incessant muttering. I don't even know if she heard me, but she starts to freak out, screaming all kinds of indecipherable stuff, and with a loud screech, screams, "I can't do this!" and storms away, flinging her arms out. Her arm caught in a rack of clothes, and she sent several articles of clothing and their hangers flying, right at my face. Luckily, I threw my arm up and protected my face. I had a shirt on my shoulder, and a hanger caught my buttons. The rack fell over, and she went screeching like a banshee toward the customer service counter, where a young woman was behind the desk trying in vain to help a family that couldn't speak English. Alex and I didn't stick around. We took off half running, half low crouching away, and hid in the next department. Wore ducked down in housewares and saw this poor family that doesn't even speak English trying to help her get into this darn dress. We were laughing and so bewildered and looking at each other saying, "Oh my god, what the heck just happened?" At what had just occurred. It was the main topic of discussion with our friends and family over the next several days. Alex even wanted me to zip her into her wedding dress on her day just so she could say it again and calm her nerves. A couple of bridesmaids didn't get the joke, so we got to tell it again. To this day, I can call or text Alex and say, "Zip it!" and she will bust out laughing. Good times. Hey, this one's not too bad. They got a good inside joke out of it, and, very good memory. No one got hurt, they just got to witness a very distressed woman. This story's called, "Today I Fudged Up by Smeagling at My New Job." This happened today, about 20 minutes ago to be more precise. I just started the new job about a month ago. It's a quiet office environment. I only really know the people immediately around me, but everyone's been super nice to me so far. One of the things I love about this place is they have a bunch of free breakfast stuff in the break room. This morning, I thought a bagel sounded nice, so I went to go toast one up. This is where the fork up begins. I separated the bagel into 2 halves and went to put it in the toaster. I've only ever owned peasant toasters, but this stainless steel bad boy had all the bells and whistles, including a bagel setting. I figured it wouldn't hurt, so I punched it and waited. While I stood there, my mind began to drift. I started thinking about Lord of the Rings for some reason, specifically trying to figure out when my kids would be old enough for me to introduce them to it. I heard the door to the break room shut and assumed the only person who had been in there with me had just left. Then the toaster dinged and my bagel popped up. I took it out and was struck by how amazingly it had toasted. Warm and soft on the inside, toasted perfection on the outside. I'd started spreading the butter, still admiring the flawless bagel in my hands. My brain was still in fantasy mode though, and I said to myself, in full-on Smeagol voice, "Yes, we likes it! Give it to us golden and crispy!" At this point, my rational brain kicked back in and I realized how freaking weird I can be sometimes. Oh well, no big deal. I take my bagel and turn around, nearly running into a group of ladies looking at me like I just arrived from another planet. I tried to give a polite smile, but I'm sure the surprise and wave of awkwardness I was experiencing made that creepy too. I shuffled past them and am now hiding at my desk. I'm sure it's just a matter of time before the new guy is rebranded as the multiple personality weirdo who talks to himself. Dookie. Okay, first of all, buddy, it's Gollum. Okay, Smeagol is his hobbit form. Okay, Gollum is him as a whatever the hell Gollum is. Second of all, you should have just laughed about it. Just be like, I thought I was alone. You know, that was a Gollum. You know, this thing, it's like, it's a bagel. It's golden. It's like, the ring. I don't know, man. You walked yourself into that one. I'm sure people know that people are weird when they're alone. I'm sure you can explain it away. Just give it a try. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that bell to never miss an episode.